this is why we're doing that, just to really congratulate Glanmire, because I suppose it's a phenomenal achievement of what they did. They brought the attention of there's so much that can be done, and I suppose that's going to be the point of this presentation. And it's sometimes you can get overwhelmed by all the stuff that's going on, and really we can all do something. We talked a little bit about that this morning, and I'm very much some people are very interested in the environment, and that's they're the reason they get up in the morning. Other people are interested in soccer or music, or they have a heap of young brothers and sisters that they have to look after, or they have jobs or whatever. So we can only give a certain amount of time. You're blessed in school in that you have a certain amount of time that you can give to that. And what I want to do now is just to focus the minds a little bit on what you can do in school. Be tough act keeping up with Glanmire, but a bit of competition is always good as well. So I'm going to run through this very quickly, and it's thinking ecologically, and I suppose it's taking away the feeling of being over what can we do and break it into a little bit more token kind of small pieces. And it's system change. No one person can change the system by themselves. The system is changed by multiple small changes that will bring up bigger changes. And you don't have to change the system by yourself, but every little small change is important. Just to give a quick run on Cork water quality, Cork is actually quite high relative to the rest of Ireland. The map here shows water quality. So the blue is the high pristine waters, the green is the good. So that water quality meets the requirements of the Water Framework Directive. What you see then on the map in places is yellows and browns, and we don't really have reds in Cork, thankfully, but they are the ones that there's problems, there's pollution. Yellow is moderately polluted, brown is more severely polluted, and red is generally not great altogether. So this just to give you an idea, and to maybe you can think in your head about where you are. For the teachers in the room, we can look up www.catchments.ie. It's not the easiest website to work, but a little bit of practice you'll get in it. It's very easy once you get used to it, but it does take a bit of time to get used to it. But you can look up your own water quality in your particular area. It takes many forms. Just to talk about climate change, two of the things that happens is increased rainfall events and unpredictable rainfall events and changes to our water patterns. So we have floods, as we so horribly saw in the city, including Glanmire. And we also have pollution from stormwater or runoff from land or whatever. We particularly have problems with stormwater overflows, which are enacted in flood situations, and they then can cause a flush of nutrients into the river, reduce oxygen, and you will have fish kills. The same maybe upstream if there was slurry spread and there wasn't a buffer to the river, you'll get that as well. So really, climate change, that's one of the two things that we get. Flood water is never clean. There's always stuff in flood water. And we want to try and reduce that as much as possible. But this just to touch on it briefly. What can we do? Thinking ecologically, thinking about what we can do to protect ourselves and the creatures that rely on the nature and the river to live. These are just three very simple actions. I was very interested in art in school. No one was picking me for the camogie team, so art was my thing. And observation and art can be easily done in the school. This is where the runoff from too much rain will go into the stormwater. This was actually in Galway and GMIT, or Atlantic University is called nowadays. And this eventually made its way down to the beach. So every manhole around your school and your street, they're going somewhere. They're not necessarily going to the sewer. So this is a project called the Yellow Fish, and it's just putting a yellow fish to promote that people to consider the drains and where they're going and how that will impact on the river. Kinsale Community College did a wonderful project on this, and did all sorts of lovely diagrams just to show and again highlight the connection between what looks like tarmac and very artificial surfaces and how that then connects with the river. and how that can cause problems if we leave the wrong things down there. Comfort. And what you see behind you, we clean, keep clean, we live here, is actually a stormwater overflow. So in stormwater events, there will be, if the wastewater treatment plant can't deal with the runoff from the sewer or from the stormwater into the sewers, it will discharge some water into the rivers. This should only happen in flood events when there's high volume water and can be easily diluted. But sometimes because of blockages from things like oils and greases, which the guys mentioned, or baby wipes, or any number of different things, the stormwater overflows may be working when they shouldn't be. And this was done to highlight to the local community that this was what this was, and to keep an eye on it, and if there was a problem, to report it. So from what could be considered a really kind of smelly thing, it can be a very beautiful thing if managed correctly. And I just think it's very important as well of things, but it is not reporting pollution. So make sure if you do see pollution that you report it. So I have numbers here for the County Council, if you're in Cork County Council, and also Cork City Council. Don't assume just because you put a picture on the Twitter, Facebook, or wherever people put things nowadays, that's going to get to the people that need to see it. Ring the environmental sections of your local council. There's Kilkenny here today, and there's Galway County or Galway City Council as well. Ring those people and make sure that they know where the pollution is. And if you don't get a response, ring again. If you don't get a response, then contact your local councillor to lobby on your behalf. I find this a hard slide to put up because of the horrible rain that we had last week in Cork. But I do think it's very important that we do respect our rain, which ultimately becomes into the rivers. And we have to find ways of dealing with rain. We can't just hope that it'll go away and that it'll go down the river and out to sea and we'll be all happy. We have to manage rainfall a bit better, even in our schools. Is there a section of the pitch that could be flooded? Is there a section of the garden that could be turned into a pond? We do need to find ways of trying to not just shove the water down into the sea, because that's not always the best solution, and trying to find a way that we can let it sit. And that's not just farmland, it can also be our own gardens if we live in housing estates. The pitch there in Glanmire did a great service to the community. And we need to have kind of those thinking of managing our rain into the future. When you're all building houses, manage the site so that you can allow rain and just not be expecting it to be all run off, because it's something we really need to come to terms with, especially in climate change. This is a solution for woody areas, or possibly the park there, like there is there where the Glashie Boy runs through, and this is woody debris, and it allows the flood water to back up there and to flood out onto the land. And as we can see there, there's no one going to be too bothered by that if it floods there for 6 or 7 hours before it needs to go down. This is from England, but we definitely need to consider these things a bit more where we can. And this is all called nature-based sustainable urban drainage systems, or just nature-based, look into nature a bit more. This would have naturally flooded probably this area, so we're trying to reinstate some of the natural things. One of the last things, and Glanmire sort of did this, is water-based safaris. And I'm over probably hyping what it is, but it is getting out and getting to know your local river. So you can do citizen science, which I'll talk about now in a minute, using macro inverts, so the creatures living in the river, the small creatures, or you can do and keep an eye on discharges. And Glanmire did a great service there in the school by reporting a sewage pipe that doesn't seem to be working right. There's many, the UK is getting very interested in this, and it's Fergal Sharkey from the Undertones that is getting into this. A lot of people who go surfing are UK has a larger volume of people than us, it's a higher population, so sewerage can be more of a problem. It's looking around us and just making sure that we're aware of it, kind of getting to see the problems. This is the Citizen Science Stream Index that we promote a lot, particularly Cork City is leading the way in this, Cork County, and it's doing a simple calculation based on a kick sample and the creatures that are found in the river and what that tells us. This is just a quick overview of some of the findings from Cork. So again, you can see here green is good, yellow is moderate or kind of needs to be further examined, and red is poor. So the schools definitely can get involved in this. If you look up our website, the local authority waters program, which I have there on the screen, lawaters.ie. You'll get more details on that. So thank you. So I hope that between that there and Glanmire, I hope you're beginning to get some ideas